Welcome to another great edition of Scaling with Insights, where we bring in top industry leaders to share their insights of what's working well to scale their businesses. My name is John Russo. I'm a former CMO turned entrepreneur. Now I'm helping other businesses scale, grow, and measure their business for effectiveness. Welcome, everybody. We got another great edition today with Kate Athmer, who is the Senior Director of Growth, Marketing, and Sales Development at Bombora. If intent data is a topic that is of interest, you're going to want to listen to this today because she and her company, they are the queen of intent and really understand intent data and how it accelerates sales processes and makes sales teams more effective. I know a lot of my clients also have been asking about intent data, so I'm really jazzed to have Kate come on to the show. Before I do, just a reminder, we're sponsored by the Growth Ops community. I'll link to the Growth Ops community below as to what it is that we do and what our community represents. And with that, I would love to welcome Kate onto the show. Welcome, Kate.
Hi, John. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, and great to see you. It's been a challenging couple weeks here, so I appreciate you making the time. Maybe we could just start off with telling us a little bit about what it is that you're working on and what you're doing these days.
Yeah, well, marketing never stops. So here we are. I think a lot of things that we've been hitting on recently and hearing from our customers revolve around just people really finally trying to get account-based marketing right and what it means in terms of the data they need to do that. So that includes us. We've been working on our target account list too and optimizing that, just making sure that we look at the data we've seen over the past year-ish and what that can tell us about, have we been prospecting the right people? Have we been prospecting the wrong people? What more can we provide our customers to make sure that they are finding success in not just looking at intent data, but also operationalizing it?
That's awesome. And I'm thinking about our own client experiences with intent data. Sometimes we get you through other providers. Sometimes we bring you in directly. And in that experience, what I've come to realize is not everybody has a common understanding of what intent data is and what it can do for them. Maybe you could define from your perspective, and I would love to compare notes on this one because we definitely see an opportunity to level set what the definition is of intent data.
Well, at a super high level, intent data is really a signal that tells you which of your prospects are in the right mindset, the right research mode to be interested in potentially purchasing the products or services that you sell. So those signals can come in the form of first-party intent data. So we think of things like impressions on your website, people visiting and downloading your content, information that most marketers actually have access to either through their marketing automation platform or just through some tracking on their own website. So most people have that. Most people are using that. But some people don't necessarily have enough volume of their own engagement data. That's where intent data is actually really valuable for smaller growth stage companies like 100 to 250 employees, maybe even up to 500, where you just don't have enough of your own first party engagement to get those intent signals. The larger enterprise organizations also can find value in intent data because in third party intent data, because it is going to give them signals that are potentially before people get to their website or just broader research being done on competitors, for example. So third-party intent data is really where Bombora lives, and we are the leader in B2B third-party intent data thanks to our co-op, which is a proprietary source of data, includes a whole bunch, like I think we're over 6,000 right now, over 6,000 partners
Wow.
in that co-op. But that includes hundreds and hundreds of websites at many of those partners too. So we're monitoring a ton of data, billions and billions of impressions throughout that co-op, and able to give insight about intent and about content consumption across those partners to our customers so that they can plan their marketing and sales strategy to focus really, like what I said in the beginning, to focus on the accounts that matter, the accounts that are ready to hear from them.
Yeah, it makes a ton of sense. And I'm thinking about the old world of the lead world that, 5 or 7 years ago, a lot of marketers were in, and now we're in this account focused world and account measurement where we've seen engagement or where we've seen intent really play an ingredient in the cake is in that marketing qualified lead and identifying the marketing qualified lead. I'd be curious beyond that identification of the marketing qualified lead, and I think you answered some of it at the end there, where from a sales perspective does intent data help either focus or not focus? Like what's the benefit of intent to sales?
Yeah, definitely. So helping marketing get account or lead scoring correct or making it something that matches what sales is interested in is definitely helpful, which you touched on there. So getting the intent data into lead scoring really helps marketing give sales leads that they want to call on. And it helps sales trust those leads too. Beyond that, sales can use it for their own account prioritization. So our sales team has dashboard in Salesforce. They have Bombora's intent data right in front of them. So they can pull a list of accounts that are showing elevated intent that day or that week. They can have that in front of them when they're deciding which accounts they really want to work that week. They also can, when they're on the account level, so let's say they're preparing for a call that they have in an hour, they're looking at the account in Salesforce to see what they need to know and how they can prepare for their call. The intent data, the topics that that account is researching at elevated levels is right there in front of them at the account level. So they can see, for example, whether an account was interested in intent data this week or whether an account was potentially researching one of our competitors this week. And that's really useful information for that salesperson going into the call to make sure that their messaging or what they decide to pitch the prospect on is what the prospect wants to hear about. And a lot of prospects get really surprised when a salesperson will come to the call and be like, actually, so today I wanted to bring up this. And they're like, we didn't know you did that, but we were researching that, and that's so helpful. So it kind of helps prove the value, like right there on the call, that our data works, and that it shows you we know what you're researching, so you can know what your prospects are researching. So it's like a real life good example there. But I think the key is we found for all of our customers is getting the intent data in front of sales somewhere that they're already working. So you mentioned a lot of people get our data through partners as well, and that plays into that strategy. We want to be in the platforms that you're already using. So if that's Salesforce or HubSpot or Marketo, and you really want to customize your setup a lot, that's great. But if it's one of our other partners and you want to make sure that it's just easy and accessible where you already are, we are happy to put our data in there as well. So the key for getting people to use it is make it easy.
Interesting. And you said, wow, you that was action packed there. One of the things that I picked up on was it almost helps prioritize what not to focus on, which could be in this environment that we're in right now, selling really to the relevant accounts. One of the other things that we've noticed with intent data with sales teams in particular is it can be challenging to operationalize. There's almost a process or maybe even a maturity to go through. If you had to give one tip for either a growth company stage like yours or an enterprise, what would the tip be to help them operationalize intent data?
Well, if you're a Bombora customer, I would say really work closely with your account team. There's so many possible ways to use intent data that people at Bombora are equipped to ask you questions and figure out what's going to work best for your particular use case. And I think taking the time up front to figure out and be real with yourself about how you're going to use it is super important. I'll give you an example. There's somebody that we've worked with recently, and we tend to recommend that you put the data into Salesforce and then work from there, because then sales has access to it right away. And the people we were working with were like, that's great. We hear you. It sounds lovely. Our Salesforce admin is a real pain in the ass to work with. it's going to be too much. We want to get this done now. Let's go into Marketo. We'll deal with Salesforce later. And so just having that conversation with them was actually really helpful, because we were like, oh, great, don't mention Salesforce for now. We got it. And that's just what's going to work for that company. And so I think having figuring out what your process is and where intent data can fit into your existing process and make it better is important. And don't try to just mash together a process around intent data. Instead, you got to have your own ducks in a row, and then add it on is what works.
So it makes a ton of sense. You want to define the processes first, and then layer on the technology, so you got clarity as to what to do or what not to do. Maybe just wrapping up here. Obviously, you spend a lot of time in intent data and ABM, but outside of work, how many Philadelphia Eagles games this season have you been able to get to?
I've been to 2 in
Wow.
person. I've watched them all of them, all painful of them. No, I've been to 2 in person. In Pennsylvania, they're letting about 5,000 fans into the stadium. So it's like it's way safer than going grocery shopping. You don't come close to anybody.
Wow.
So, I mean, there's no fans in high five range or anything. So, yeah, it's weird. The atmosphere is weird. The fake crowd noise is weird, but it's been fun. And it was really like, we were hesitant, but it seemed to be a really well thought through and pretty safe and comfortable experience. And it's nice to be able to get out of the house and do some things.
Excellent. Well, Kate, I really appreciate you making the time today to talk more about intent data. If people want to get a hold of either Bombora or yourself, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
I'm on LinkedIn. My last name is kind of hard to spell, but if you see it somewhere here, my name's there, or you can just go to connectwithkate.com, and that will take you to my LinkedIn as well. Bombora's URL is bombora.com. You can probably track me down through that website somehow too. I do see all the demo requests that come in. So last ditch resort, request a demo from Bombora and say, hey, I need to talk to Kate, and you'll find me.
I need Eagles tickets, and I'll do that through the contact us form. Excellent.
Hey, you book a demo, I'll work on the ticket.
Thanks again, Kate. If you like this video, like and subscribe, and you'll see more.